I was in school at the time. It was the last day before summer vacation. From the morning, my mind felt light. There were no tests today, no homework, just the start of summer vacation. Mom had said in the morning, "I'll take the car to get the AC fixed. It might take a little time. You wait in front of the office." I smiled and said, "Okay, Mom." With my backpack hanging on one shoulder, I stood by the window looking out at the road. I was sweating in the hot air. Around me, other kids were making noise and having fun. Mrs. Reynolds, the office lady, knew everyone. In our small area, it feels like everyone knows everyone. Suddenly, a blue old pickup truck stopped in front of the school. A man got out after opening the door. Tall, wearing glasses, a bit of gray in his hair, jeans and a check shirt. He walked straight toward the office. A few minutes later, Mrs. Reynolds came outside and called my name. "Alex, your Uncle Mike is here. Your mom's car apparently broke down. He will take you." At first, nothing felt strange in my head. Uncle Mike? Mom's distant cousin. I remember seeing him once when I was younger. The man walked toward me and smiled. His smile looked completely normal. "Hey, Alex, do you recognize me?" "I'm Mike. Your mom said there was a problem with the car. I was nearby, so I came to pick you up. I also brought your favorite cheese puffs." "Cheese puffs? They really are my favorite. How did he know?" "Maybe Mom told him." I looked at Mrs. Reynolds. She hesitated a bit, but maybe there was a rush because of the last day excitement. She just smiled and said, "Go, Alex, go safely." She didn't make any phone call. She didn't check any ID. I walked toward the car with the man. As soon as I got into the car, I smelled old leather and coffee. The seat felt a bit warm. The air conditioner was blowing cool air. He turned on country music on the radio. For the first few minutes, everything felt normal. I was looking outside through the window. Then he said, "Your mom said you need to buy a new baseball glove. You have practice next week, right?" My chest started beating a little faster. I hadn't told Mom about this. I had only talked about it once with a friend. "I didn't tell Mom," I said quietly. He laughed and said, "Oh, maybe she saw your Facebook. Kids share everything." I went silent. Mom barely checks Facebook, and I didn't post anything, but maybe someone told her. I told myself, okay, maybe Mom told him. The road was gradually leaving the familiar area and heading toward the hills. Outside our area. "Where are we going?" I asked. My throat felt a little dry. "To your mom. She's at a garage." There was no urgency in his voice, calm. But my palms had started sweating. The inside of the car suddenly felt small and warm. My legs were starting to feel a bit heavy. I was looking outside the window and thinking, did Mom really send him? The car stopped in front of a small white house. The house was a bit isolated, surrounded by trees, no car in front. "Here," I said. "Mom doesn't live here." He opened the door and said, "Come inside. Have some cold water. Your mom will be here soon." I got down. My legs felt heavy. As soon as the door opened, a musty smell came from inside. Old carpet, dust, and something that hadn't been cleaned in a long time. The inside of the house was empty. No pictures on the walls, no family memories, just a sofa, table, and an old TV. He closed the door. The sound of the lock echoed in my ears. "Sit. I'll bring you something to eat." I didn't sit. "I want to call my mom." He took out his phone from his pocket and showed it, but didn't give it. "The signal is bad here, don't worry." My heart was pounding. My throat had gone completely dry. Something didn't feel right, but I couldn't react properly. My legs felt stuck. He walked toward the kitchen. I quietly moved toward the window. Outside, there were only trees and an empty road, no one. He came back and saw me near the window. His smile changed slightly. His eyes were still calm, but something felt different. "Alex, I told you to sit. Your mom is coming." I stepped back. "I want to go home." "Now." He stood near the door. "You can't leave now." "You wait here." Only one question was spinning in my mind. How does he know so much? Cheese puffs, the car problem, the baseball glove. These are things only our family knows. He held my hand and led me into a small room. He closed the door. The room was dark. Only a little light was coming through a small window. "Stay here. No one will hear you." His voice was still calm, but the words felt cold. I sat down on the floor. My hands were shaking. It was hard to breathe. I don't know how much time passed. I could hear his footsteps outside. Then from a distance, the sound of sirens. Very far, but coming, slowly getting closer. There was a loud bang on the door. "Police, open the door," shouting. Then the sound of braking. Light hit my eyes. "Someone picked me up. You're safe. Everything is okay." Outside, there were many cars, red and blue lights flashing. Mom ran and hugged me tightly. Her body was shaking. Later I found out, when the school realized the mistake, they immediately informed the police. The man had gathered all the information from our Facebook, local groups, and small area gossip. He chose the name Uncle Mike because Mom has a distant relative with that name. Even today, I think about that day. Standing in front of the school, that blue truck, and that calm voice that said, "Don't worry." Some people say, it all turned out fine in the end. But I know those few hours are still stuck inside me. Sometimes at night when I wake up, I think, what if that siren hadn't come? After that day, I learned something important. Always verify before trusting anyone, even if they seem familiar. I was a 16-year-old teenager at the time. I still clearly remember that scorching summer of 2019. In that small suburban town in Pennsylvania, there weren't many opportunities for entertainment. The four of us, me, Jack, Ryan, and Emma, often wandered through the abandoned places of the town in search of adventure. We called this hobby of ours urban exploration. The plan that afternoon was to go to the lake and have a campfire, but the evening sky suddenly turned dark. The humidity in the air kept rising in the oppressive heat. When the lake plan fell apart, Jack was the first to make a suggestion. He brought up that old textile mill at the northern edge of our town. It had been shut down decades ago. Rumor had it that the mill was dangerous and that it was always a hangout for drug addicts or unidentified drifters. But with the mindset of 16-year-olds, the excitement outweighed the fear. We thought we'd take a few pictures and record the place on our phones to post on social media. When it was 9 at night, the rain had just started pouring. We parked Jack's old sedan on the roadside, quite far from the mill's driveway. The gate was huge and locked with a heavy iron chain. We knew it wasn't possible to enter through the main gate. Jack already knew that a section of the wire fence at the back of the factory had been loose for a long time. In the darkness, we turned on our flashlights and carefully moved forward over the muddy ground. After entering through that gap in the fence, a strange silence surrounded us. The sound of rain hitting the tin roof created a kind of rhythmic, heavy noise. The inside of the mill was Vishal. In the narrow beams of light from our phones, we could see thick layers of dust, massive rusted machines, and electrical wires hanging from the ceiling. The smell in the air was extremely strong, a pungent mixture of old wet iron, rotting fabric, and damp mold. Emma whispered, "I think we shouldn't go too far inside." "What if the police come?" Jack laughed, but there was a kind of discomfort in that laugh. He said, "Relax. The police won't come here in this rain. Come on, let's check the upper floor once." As we were crossing that huge central hall, that's when the sound happened. Thok thok, the sound didn't come from the upper floor. It came from some metal drum right beside us. We all froze in place. We looked at each other. No one said a word. My heartbeat was pounding in my ears like a hammer. "Probably the wind," Ryan said in a low voice. But we all knew that the wind couldn't make such a heavy metallic sound. We kept moving forward through the corridor. Suddenly, I felt like I wasn't alone. Someone was watching us from the cover of darkness. Just like in a horror movie, that feeling that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. I kept turning back again and again, but in the light of my phone, I could see nothing but clouds of dust. When we entered a small office-like room on the 3rd floor, the situation changed. The room was in disarray. Old papers were scattered across the floor. Right in the middle, there was something like a makeshift bed, and beside it were a few food cans. Someone was living here, probably some drifter. "Let's get out of here," Emma almost burst into tears this time. Right then, we heard the sound of a heavy door opening from the far end of the corridor. Creak. That long sound of rusted iron hinges seemed to tear through the darkness and reach our ears. Jack quickly signaled us to turn off our phone lights. The 4 of us sat in the dark corner of that small room, holding our breath. The entire mill was now silent. Only the sound of our breathing and the soft rain outside could be heard. After a few seconds, we heard footsteps in the corridor. Someone was walking. Very slowly, very deliberately. The dragging sound of footsteps came and stopped right in front of our room's door. Out of the corner of my eye, I looked at the gap in the doorway. Faint moonlight was coming through the corridor window. I saw the shadow of a person. The man was tall, wearing a hooded jacket. He was standing right outside our door. He didn't come inside. He just stood there still. Time seemed to have stopped. I could feel Emma's hand gripping my shirt tightly. Ryan and Jack were frozen like statues. The man wasn't speaking, wasn't moving. He was just standing by the door, trying to figure out our position in the darkness. The most disturbing thing was the sound of the man's breathing. He was breathing very heavily. Occasionally there was a suppressed coughing sound. I felt like he knew we were inside. He was just waiting to scare us. Suddenly, the man started speaking in a low voice, not clear words, but an incoherent mumbling, as if he was talking to himself. While speaking, he took something out of his pocket. In the moonlight, I saw it was a large wrench or pipe. He started scraping it against the concrete floor. That sharp metallic sound felt like it was striking directly into our nerves. We knew that if we couldn't escape from here, something very bad would happen. Jack whispered in my ear, "We have to get down through the window." The window at the back of the office was broken. There was a fire escape ladder or iron stairs outside, but we didn't know how strong it was. Jack carefully moved toward the window. One by one, we started climbing down the rusted ladder. With every step, the ladder creaked loudly. I felt like the man would hear us any second and come running. When we got down and set foot on the ground, we didn't look back. We ran for our lives through the darkness and mud. From the upper floor window behind us, the man's shadow was clearly visible. He was standing by the window, watching us run. He didn't chase us, he just stood there laughing. That dry, horrifying laughter echoed to our ears with the wind. After getting into the car, Jack's hands were shaking so badly that he couldn't put the key into the starter. Finally, the car started. The entire way, none of us said a single word. The next day, we found out that the police had raided that abandoned mill a few days earlier. There were signs of a mentally unstable fugitive there who had been hiding there for months. Even today, whenever I pass by an abandoned building or face a dark corridor, I hear that metallic scraping sound of the wrench in my ears. I realized that the man didn't want to catch us that night. He was enjoying scaring us. His still gaze and the sound of his heavy breathing still take away my sleep at night. Some mysteries are never solved, and some people, whom we dismiss as drifters, can actually be far more terrifying than we can imagine. We are taught not to trust strangers, but no one teaches us that when someone saves your sinking career or life, you unknowingly hand over all your keys to them. Believe me, gratitude often blinds people, and taking advantage of that blindness, someone can reach all the way into your bedroom. The incident is from 3 years ago. At that time, I was a final-year data science student at a university in Massachusetts. It was November, and between Boston's bone-chilling cold and the pressure of semester finals, I was almost going crazy. There were only 10 days left until the deadline for my final-year capstone project. At that exact moment, my laptop's hard drive completely crashed. 6 months of my hard work, thousands of lines of code, everything turned to dust in the blink of an eye. When I was sitting in a corner of the lab, almost in tears, that's when Leo came and stood in front of me. Leo was a student in my class, but he didn't really socialize with anyone. He always sat in the back row and worked alone. In a very calm voice, he said, "I saw your drive crashed. I know a bit about hardware and recovery. If you want, I can take a look tonight." At that moment, Leo felt like a messenger sent by God to me. Without any hesitation, I handed him my laptop and password. The next morning, when he returned the laptop, all my data was back. I wanted to hug him out of gratitude. Leo just smiled, a strange, faint smile. He said, "No need to thank me. Maybe someday you can buy me a cup of coffee." That's where it started. At first, everything was fine. We would sometimes study together in the library or hang out at a coffee shop. But very quickly, I noticed that Leo's way of helping was becoming a bit too much. He would prepare notes for me, and without me knowing, he would leave my favorite energy drink on my desk. One night, I was working in my apartment. Suddenly, I got a text on my phone. It was from Leo. He wrote, "The light from your laptop screen behind your blue curtain looks really nice. Want some coffee?" My whole body went cold. I looked outside through the gap in the curtain. Outside it was pitch dark, no one was there. How did Leo know that I'd put up a blue curtain today? I had bought it just 2 hours ago. Very carefully, I replied, "Are you in front of my house?" "I don't see anyone." He replied, "No, I was just passing by. Take care." Over the next few days, things became even stranger. Wherever I went, whether it was a grocery store or a quiet park, Leo would already be there. This couldn't be a coincidence. Logically, no one can know your daily routine unless they are tracking you. I suspected that when he fixed my laptop, he might have installed some spyware or tracker. I decided to reduce contact with him. I started ignoring his messages, but that backfired. Leo started calling me every minute. The tone of his messages changed. He wrote, "I did so much for you, and now you're avoiding me? I know you're sitting in your bedroom right now talking to your ex-boyfriend on the phone. He doesn't know you like I do." I froze in fear. I had ended the call with my ex-boyfriend just 5 minutes ago. That meant he wasn't just monitoring my location, but also my phone calls. The situation reached its peak that Friday night. Snow had started falling outside. I had double-locked all the doors and windows of my apartment. Suddenly, I got a notification from my door's smart lock app. "Invalid passcode attempted." Someone was trying to unlock my door code. My heartbeat was pounding in my ears like a hammer. I looked outside through the viewfinder. No one was there. But the corridor light was flickering repeatedly. Just then, the small blue light of my laptop's webcam turned on. That meant someone had remotely accessed my camera. A message popped up on my phone screen from Leo. No text, just a picture. The picture was of my apartment hall, where I was standing right then. He had taken my picture using my own webcam and sent it to me. Below the picture it said, "Open the door. I know you're inside. If you delay too much, I'll delete all the data on your laptop." I didn't wait even a second. I went into the bathroom, locked myself in, and called 911. It took the police about 15 minutes to arrive. Those 15 minutes were the longest time of my life. From the other side of the bathroom door, I could hear someone slowly scratching at my door with their nails. Scratch, scratch, just like an animal waiting to catch its prey. When the police arrived, no one was found in the corridor, but there was a note lying in front of my door. It said, "What I can give, I can take away. Don't forget that." Do you know what the most terrifying part is? When the police checked with the university, they said there had never been any student named Leo in that department. The ID card he used was fake. Even the laptop he used to help me was stolen. Today, 3 years have passed. I have left that city, changed my laptop, and even almost shut down my digital life. But even now, when the blue light of my laptop's webcam accidentally turns on in the middle of the night, I feel like Leo is still somewhere, watching me from the darkness. Maybe he's just waiting for an opportunity when I fall into trouble again and he returns as a savior. Some help isn't really help. It's an invisible chain that you place around your own neck.